Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be playing The Sims 4 and doing the every room is a different budget challenge. I will be using a random number generator and generating a number between 1,000 and 10,000 to give me the budget for each room. So let's get into it. Before I get too far into this video, I just want to say that I am using a shell I created before I started everything, and just kind of filling out the rooms that I created, obviously. The first area I'm going to be starting with is the front yard, or like kind of the side yards, and the budget ended up being 8,251 simoleons, so that's kind of what I started with. I had like a general plan of what I was wanting for the front yard. Obviously it's an oasis spring, so I kind of wanted to have that more of like that desert feel, Arizona type house look to it. And I kind of based the roofing off the house that's across the street from this lot. This one's the Nookstone lot in Oasis Springs, which is just in the base game. But I really didn't have a whole ton of goals with what I was wanting to do. I just wanted to use up the budget. So I started off by paving out this little walkway in the front and just sizing down a bunch of stones, which they used a big chunk of money. They're not super expensive, but they're expensive enough, and I didn't want to use debug, so I don't know. I just used a lot of these when I was lining the front yard, the pathways, and then later on I did some flower beds and stuff that will have like cactuses and like the aloe plants and everything, but that was my plan here. Landscaping isn't necessarily my favorite thing to do in The Sims, but I feel like as the years have progressed, I've gotten slowly better at it. I'm not the best by any means, but it at least looks like someone might have done it in real life. To some extent, you could probably argue if you wanted to, and I'd probably agree with you that it doesn't look like that, but I'm trying, and I'm trying to make it look like a real house. I have a lot of family that lives out in the desert, like Arizona, California. California's not really a desert, but you know, there's some parts that are. But I have a lot of family in Arizona, and I always like building in Oasis Springs because it reminds me of where they're at, because they live in like the more deserty part of Arizona, more of like the central to south, and it's always kind of fun to think back of like, hey, what's in their yard? What are some things I could plug in here that kind of look like something that they'd have, which is always fun when I'm building in Oasis Springs. I actually went back to Arizona not too long ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. I live in the Midwest, and it's such a drastic difference between landscapes and everything, because obviously here we have cornfields, highways, and maybe a hill, a few trees. And then there you got like gorgeous mountains. There's like the cactus everywhere. It's just, there's even the lake spots are just super nice, and it's just like very just like scenic. Then here in the Midwest, it's like we might have a few national parks, but there it's just like I feel like it's crawling with just like beautiful things, which is, I don't know, you could argue it's for the desert, but I think it looks really pretty. And I don't know, I really enjoy visiting Arizona when I can, but I now work full-time, so I can't really go as much as I'd like. And I don't know, I'll go back at some point again, and it'd be fun to kind of like, I don't know, like if I take pictures of like buildings or something, that'd be kind of fun to build in The Sims. That'd be a fun thing to do. Or like maybe I could do like a cabin build, because like in like northern Arizona, like there's a lot of those like cabin towns because you're getting more in the mountainous areas. And I don't know, I remember last time I was there, I was like, man, this stuff is like sick, because it's like, obviously it's gorgeous, but like the cabins and things are just like really neat. And like the little towns and stuff up there, they look like something like straight out of a movie. But I just want to go back and check that out sometime. God knows when that will be. I'm getting close to finishing up the front of the house, or like the yard. I separated the front yard, the backyard, just because I don't know, I wanted more of a challenge. And the backyard's kind of closed off. I just counted that as a like gated area in the back. And yeah, I think the front yard turned out all right. It definitely has a lot more stuff than I normally put, just because the budget was so high. But I don't know, I think it turned out all right. I had these gnomes in just because I needed to spend a few bucks, but you know, it worked. Okay, I finished up the front yard, and now we're moving on to the backyard, which ended up being 2,296 simoleons. So now we're moving on to the backyard. The biggest struggle I had with this back part was the fact that I forgot that grills were so expensive in this game. So I didn't this isn't like a limited pack build by any means. Like, obviously I'm using everything I have, but the price of grills for any pack, whether it be base game, horse ranch, the desert lux kit, any of them, it was so expensive. I forgot how expensive they were, because I'm like, oh, I can just get like a nice grill and like a little chair set here. No, I had to use the cheaper one, the one that didn't look as nice. But I don't know, this is basically all the backyard is, because the budget is so low and I wanted to have a grill. So I had the planter boxes, the table, it'll be fine. All right, now on to the living room, which ended up being 4,703 simoleons. That seems like a bit of money, but it is not a ton of money in The Sims when it comes to living rooms. I was like, oh, okay, I can have like a cute couch, a TV. I kind of forgot how expensive everything was. I'm so used to doing base game builds, and everything in the base game is like relatively cheap in my opinion, but that is not the case for every other pack. Some things are cheaper in the base game, like for like Tiny Living, and like Horse Ranch has a lot of cheap stuff, but a lot of the other stuff is not cheap, and I forgot how expensive like flooring would be, and I just kind of just blacked out. I was like, oh, okay, I can use all this cute stuff. Nope. I ended up using this, I think the rug is from Horse Ranch, then I think those are from Dream Home Decorator, potentially, or I don't know, the Dream Home Decorator are these shelves back here, and then I think those chairs are from Tiny Living, which I really like those. It comes with a lot of cute swatches, but yeah, I just forgot how expensive everything is, and when you're on a limited budget and you want to have a nice TV, it's not gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. I kind of went back and forth what TV I wanted to add, because I'm like, well, I want it to have the room to have like more furniture than just like curtains and a TV and a couch. So I went with that Tiny Living kind of TV mounted thing, but it looks cute. I used that painting from Horse Ranch, which was cheap. I was trying my best to find something else to put in this room. I even thought about changing out the bookshelves, but I don't know. Then I was like, oh, maybe I can add some cute lights. Nah, I think I just ended up using like the tiny little ones that everybody uses. But yeah, this is kind of the room. I didn't have a whole ton of a budget, and this is like as much as I could do with that. You'll notice I kind of have these out of order from when I was picking numbers. That's just because I built them in a different order than the numbers I picked. But now moving on to the kitchen, and the budget for this was just god awful. I ended up only having 1,455 simoleons, and you'll see how that turns out. This kitchen is just kind of sad, and that's just due to the budget. So I used the lowest end of the counters just so we could have some counters. I would have loved to put, upper cabinets, maybe some curtains, something that looked a little nicer, but when you're only given like around 1,400 simoleons to work with, and it's the kitchen, which is typically the most expensive part of the house, you're kind of screwed. So I at least updated the stove and the fridge, but that's just kind of it. This is all the kitchen really looks like. Now we're moving on to the dining room, which has a budget of 6,194 simoleons. A bit more to work with than we did in the kitchen, and it ends up looking a lot better. Maybe a little busy for what I typically would do for a dining room, but I don't know, it's at least kind of fun. I used a lot of paintings from, I think it's Dream Home Decorator, and I used the table too, I think from Dream Home Decorator. That's honestly one of my favorite packs, or whatever, is it a kit? What game pack? I don't know what they're called anymore. I don't know. I know it's not an expansion pack. It's like the tier below it, and I'm blanking on what that's called right now. I swear I play The Sims 4 a lot. Obviously, I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it, and I have tons of builds. in my library and stuff on the gallery. But, you know, sometimes I forget what things are called just because I don't know. I'm not trying to remember everything. I have too much to remember in my daily life, let alone what the EA's feeling like calling stuff for just their games and the DLCs that they constantly are whipping out. But I don't know. I made this gallery wall with, like I said, like all those paintings, and I think it turned out pretty cute. I was just trying to use my money up. I don't typically do the gallery wall type stuff, but you know, I don't think it looks terrible. I use that cottage living plant in the back there. I really love that plant. I love the hanging plant. Don't talk to me about the hanging plant. Love her. I also love the skull from Horse Ranch, but that's kind of it for this room. It's just a lot of decorations and a table, and I think it turned out all right, given the budget. Now moving on to the primary bedroom, we ended up with a budget of 6,765 simoleons, and I think this room turns out pretty cute. I use a lot of the Dream Home Decorator pack in this room. Shocker there, because it's my favorite thing to use in like any of my builds. But I use the bed, I think I use the dresser from that pack, and then I use those Desert Luxe Kit curtains because they're my absolute favorite, and they look the most realistic and like modern out of any of the curtains we have in the game, at least for the packs I have. But yeah, that's kind of what I end up going with. I think that mirror's from Seasons, and then I think the wardrobe is from City Living, I think. I don't really use that pack a whole ton in terms of like building. I don't know why, but I don't. I mean, sometimes I do, but not this time. But yeah, this room's just kind of basic. It's just a bed, dresser, wardrobe, guitar. It's pretty standard. So one thing that's kind of hard in these type of challenges and just kind of like building at all in the Sims 4 is kind of packing in those skill building items, just because I want to create houses that people can actually use in their game, not just like look pretty, you know what I mean? But trying to pack in those just items that you can use to skill build and actually play the game with is something that I try to prioritize. I feel like I packed in a few here. Got the camera, the cross stitch, guitar, there's a bookcase. I don't know, it's nothing glamorous, but it's at least there and ready to go. The next room I move on to is the hallway, which ends up having the second biggest budget of the build, which is 8,005 simoleons, which it's always great when the hallway gets the biggest budget, just because there's obviously so much room to put anything you could ever want in the hallway. Obviously sarcasm. I put so much random stuff in here. Like, I put that tablet, I put like a lot of like different like plant stuff in here, and I put like a different lamp I never use. Same with that bookshelf. I don't really use that a whole ton. I tried to make this almost like a, I don't know, I just wanted some interest in here, because it's a hallway. There's not going to be a ton of like crap in here to begin with, at least like in real life. But I try to put some like more interesting, you know, decorations and kind of like pack the walls with stuff, just so I could spend the budget and also make the room look a little more interesting than just like, you know, a side table and a lamp, which is a big ask, but I don't know. And this room had just low of a budget where you couldn't put like the knight statue, which everybody always puts in, just to like fill out the budget. But I don't know. This was probably the room I struggled with the most and took the most amount of time, just in terms of like thinking things out. But yeah, I just used like a whole bunch of different like posters and pictures and things just to kind of fill out the space. I don't know. It's not my most favorite thing, but it works. I don't know. Again, it's the hallway. It's not going to be the most fun part of the build. It never is, but you know what? That's part of the challenge. It's going to have a large budget for no reason. But yeah, this is kind of how it turns out looking. Now on to the office, or you could use it as a second bedroom, but I chose to make it an office just because we were lacking skill building items. But this ends up being 3,083 simoleons for the budget. Not too bad to work with. I at least could put like a computer in there, which is kind of a big ask, especially in like a challenge. You never know if you're able to like buy anything. I feel like a computer is like essential if you're actually playing the game, so I try to like put them in there whenever I can in my builds, even if it's like the cheaper one like I did here. It's still better than no computer, because like, I don't know, like you're always going to be needing it for like, I don't know, maybe you need it for your job, or like to order things, like, or if you're wanting to like build different skills. Like I know you can do like the mischief skill, or like play games, or like the chat room type stuff. But yeah, I always try to stick that in there, and I try to add a few more skill building items in here too, just because like it's the office, that's where you're going to be putting like that type of stuff. I always like putting the easel. There's my favorite calendar, it's back in here. I always add that in here for the office. But yeah, it's a pretty simple office. It's not a huge budget, but it's at least enough to make something cute. Now on to the final room in the build, which is the bathroom, which I forgot to spin for at the beginning. That's why the number is 4, not a different number. But it ends up being 4,484 simoleons for this budget. It's a bathroom. I tried to spruce it up as much as I can with that budget. The budget we were given is actually not too bad in terms of what we could have gotten, because if we had like 1,000, I really don't know what all we could have done with this bathroom. But I'm glad that we got like at least a decent budget for this room. I used the flooring and wallpaper or tile from that base game update from God knows how long ago at this point, but I really like using that. I use a different color than I normally do. I use like that kind of like blue green kind of color, but just something a little bit different. And then I think that bathtub is from, I think, Dream Home Decorator again. I'm always using that. And then same with the sink and the mirror. I think those just look really cute, and I added that big light above the bathtub just to give like some interest to it. I had it initially above, like right above the bathtub, then I moved it to the wall just because, I don't know, it looked kind of funny. And then I added those paintings just to add some interest to the room, and then I added some decorations, obviously, just to kind of fill it out. But that's kind of the build, and I'll take you in a second and show you the final product. Okay, so this is the final build. I'll take you around the front. It's got like the flag out here, a little sitting area, lights and stuff. Got like the landscaping and things. Nothing too fancy out here. Got the trash cans. I had some planter boxes. Then here's the backyard. You can have the horse ranch grill, the seating area, planter boxes. Nothing too crazy outside, just because of whatever. But if you go inside, we got the living room. Again, we got that TV, we got the nice curtains, and it's kind of a pretty room. It's kind of simple just because of the budget restraints, but that's kind of that. I really like these bookcases, or bookshelves, whatever. And then we got the extremely busy hallway that had a massive budget. I really don't mind how it turned out. Obviously a little busier than I'd like, but it's something. Whoops. And then we've got the bathroom over here. Again, it's a bathroom. It's got a giant light, some nice paintings, add some tissues and a plant to that. There's a trash can. I don't think it's too bad. Again, it's fine. Then over here we got the primary bedroom. It's kind of simple, but I tried to add skill building items over here, and I don't know, it looks like a place someone would actually live, so that's kind of the goal. Then if we go back over here to living room and through here, we've got the extremely simple kitchen. Again, I use like the cheapest of cheap counters. We don't even have curtains or anything. It's fine for what it is. It could be worse. Maybe we could have gotten 1,000. We couldn't even have this. But that's that. And then here is the dining room, and it's got a crap ton of stuff on the walls. I don't know. It turned out alright, I think. Got the sliding door. I don't even know if you get out of there, but it's fine. But that's that. Got the hanging plant. I love this thing too. But that's that. And then next door, we've got the office. But yeah. We got the computer, the cheap computer. We got an easel. We got the lamp. It's got some more desert looks. Kit curtains. We got the cute little plant thing right here. Nothing crazy, but it's fine. If you're interested in downloading this build, it is on the gallery. My gallery ID is thethreatofjoy, and this is under the Oasis Spring budget home. Obviously, this was the budget challenge, so it's not the most realistic build in terms of anything or just like pretty. But if you even just want to download it just for like the shell, and you can do it too, feel free. But yeah, it uses a crap ton of packs, so if you don't have them, I apologize, but I just wanted to use all my stuff this time around. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.